I know for me, so I am assuming that a lot of moms are, as their kids are entering into middle school, especially as they're like right in the midst of it, you cannot help but think about high school and the possibility of homeschooling high school and what that involves. Today, I just want to give you a small peek into what that might look like, and hopefully it helps encourage you. Welcome to Learning with Boys. My name is Rachel. I am a homeschool mom. I have 4 boys. We are finishing up our 17th year of homeschooling. I have graduated too. I have another senior this school year, and I also have a 7th grader. So about to do this again, and my thoughts are, what am I going to do? And starting him off and thinking about high school for him. So I thought I would just do this video as we are on this last leg of this journey, homeschooling, finishing up middle school and getting ready for high school. So I am just going to show you just a glimpse today. I can go into a lot more detail, and I will, because I do enjoy doing homeschool videos. I do a lot of them from the past. I have shared a lot about my other boys. I have been doing these videos through my senior this school year. We started in 9th grade. And please do forgive me, because when I first started out, those videos, they're pretty rough, but I will link some of them below, and hopefully they're helpful. But I hope to share my son now, who is finishing up 7th grade, his journey, if the Lord allows. So if you are new here, I would love for you to join us by subscribing. And if this video, you find it helpful, give it a thumbs up. That would encourage me. So my first thing, especially with my first son, was just the research of high school and just finding answers. So I'm just hoping to show you a little bit of that today. I know anybody that has homeschooled will tell you to be sure that you know your state laws. I know each state is different, and I'm going to share a little bit about that. I'm going to turn the camera around and show you a few things. But for us, I didn't understand that right away. Especially when I started homeschooling. And then there's the thought of when you're homeschooling high school, do they have to test? Do they have specific requirements? How do I get a diploma? Where does the transcript come from? And that's going to look different for everyone. So I'm going to show you what it looks like here in Tennessee, but be sure to check out what your requirements are. The best place for that would be HSLDA, which is the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. I remember I had to call them one time. I just needed to know, could I count my son's work as a credit? So, and I'm not sure if every state was different, but I needed to know. I needed the confidence of someone legally told me, yes, I could. So it's nice to have them available. And especially if you're a state that you may have some requirements, but you don't really have anybody to answer to. So just wanted to give you that thought. Well, let me start out with just what it looks like for our umbrella and some of the requirements. And then I'm going to show you just sort of how I might be brainstorming through what would be my thoughts for some of these requirements. Okay, I wanted to share what the requirements for my high schoolers has looked like. This is from our umbrella here in the state of Tennessee. I know each state is going to be different. Some are going to have a lot more requirements. Some you get to make the choices, but I thought it might just help you, hopefully, to give you an idea. And I'm hoping just to ease the stress and pressure of homeschooling high school a little bit. So in this video, but we do have 2 different paths. We do have a college-bound path, and we have a non-college bound, which we have done both. So I'll share a little bit about that here in a minute. 22 requirements. They do have to take the CLT or the ACT, have certain grades on that in order to get their diploma. They don't have to do any other testing. So let me share, let's see, this is the college bound. I just sort of printed this off. And it's pretty basic for English. And then your math, they have specific things, algebra, geometry, and algebra 2. And science, biology is required, and then you can choose chemistry or physics. I mean, you could do both, and another lab science. So you can do all those if you want. So, and then social studies would be American history. You have to have world history or geography, then a half credit of government and economics. And I think that the social studies is pretty basic for most. A health credit PE, the amount may look different in different states. Foreign language is 2 years, fine arts, personal finance, and electives. Now, I know for us, elective would be definitely like a computer class. We do logic. We usually do something that is related to their work because they usually get a job at least towards the end of high school. So let me show you. One of my boys did do the college path. The other two have done the general study path. And I feel like the biggest difference and what made the decision to fall back on this was the foreign language. It's only 1 credit that's needed. So, but other than that, there's a few differences. The English is 4 years. The math, I guess that would be another big difference. You can start with pre-algebra, which one of my boys did. He did pre-algebra, algebra 1, and geometry. And of course, they all did like a finance class. And then for science, they do have to take biology and a physical science, a high school level, and they can choose another high school level science. I want to say they only need 1 lab or 2. It doesn't actually say that there now that I'm thinking about it, but I always push to do some lab in their science. For social studies, that's the same. The other credits are the same except for the foreign language, and they, instead of 4 electives, they need 5. They need 1 more to make the 22 credits, which my boys have always had more than 22 credits. So I just wanted to share that with you. Okay, I do want to say, when we start thinking about all those credits, it can seem a little overwhelming. And I am going to link a few more high school videos below that might give a little bit more explanation, especially about credits. I may even do more videos, updated videos about high school if that is something that you're interested in, if you have specific questions. But I do know that it all can look very, very overwhelming. And so I really just ask that you sort of pencil in, and I'm going to show you what I mean by that here in a minute, just sort of pencil in those years and just some thoughts, just some ideas of where you see your child. But as you're doing that, really have conversations with your soon-to-be high schooler, especially when you're in that final stage of ending 8th grade and they're getting ready to go into 9th, that where do they see themselves? Explain what is expected of them before. Don't wait until, okay, you're in 9th grade, this is what I expect of you. Start helping them understand. I really think it helps them get into the mindset if you go over it. Some of the thoughts, I'm not saying every little detail because I feel like they're truly not going to understand really everything until they're probably closer like to 11th grade, what they've gotten themselves into. But I would definitely encourage them, bring them along with you, talk about the subjects and what's going to be expected of them, and where do they see themselves, and think about classes, especially because you may have requirements like I do, but you're going to have a lot of freedom in your electives, and that is where we get to find out what they're really interested in and use those interests as credits. Let me share a couple books with you. Okay, I have shared these books in the past several times. I talk about Lee Benz, and she is the author of The Homescholar. She has a website, she has classes, she has free webinars, and that's really where I started out with my research in 8th grade for my oldest. And she has several of these. She calls them coffee break books about planning high school. She has, I think, some for each grade, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, where you should see your child and yourself. This was an amazing book, A Higher Calling. This was written by her husband, and this was such an encouragement in our thoughts as we have the opportunity to homeschool our kids. So I just wanted to share this with you as a starting point. Now, I know this is like a records book, really gives you some thoughts and details. I personally do not have to do our own transcript. The umbrella we are under will take care of that. I do keep course descriptions, and I may talk about that more in the future. I have talked about that in some of my videos from the past. So, and she has stuff for college admission and scholarship. She talks about that in this book. But like I said, she actually has an online courses, something you can sign up for. It does cost something, but she does have free webinars. And if you are wanting a lot of information on transcripts, I understand them and I'm familiar with them. I understand how they work, but I'm not going to do a specific video on them. But I know, I'm pretty sure it's Janelle Knudten. She does a lot of homeschool videos. She has some very detailed how she does her transcripts. And if I had to do mine, I would go back and watch that and take notes. So I wanted to let you know that. But if you end up signing up with the Homescholar, she would hold your hand through that. Okay, I just wanted to give you a peek at this. I do have a homeschool mom binder, but this is more of my high school binder that I've just collected information over the years. I'm not even sure where I got this, but have for your high schooler some information. And college bound reading. This is actually from the Homescholar. You can print several free things off her site. And the thing I liked about this is, for me at the time, I'm trying to think exactly where that page is. Oh, look at me. My notes are all over the place. She had some that were for like a reluctant reader. Here it is, a reluctant reader. And she has some choices for that. So that was helpful to me. I had all kinds of different learners. I had one that struggled, one that did really well in maybe other subjects, but not care to read. So this was very helpful. And then I have a section where I think I keep all my, I'm not probably going to turn to that, but keep my umbrella information. And then I just collect information here and there of different places and different, here's some dual enrollment information from a college that was given to me about different college credits. I have sat through so many different things over the years and listened to so many things when opportunity arose. So you just have to be alert and just start gathering information. It's a little by little process. Now, here's another thing that I printed off from the Homescholar, and that would be just some general college path prep information. But I wanted to take you right here because homeschool planning, I have several of this, and I'll probably show you mine for my son now who's going into 8th. I'll probably do a video of a little bit more detail about it. But just having a sheet printed off like this is going to be more towards, well, it depends on what you do in 8th, but you may want to think about doing this in 8th grade. And especially if they're going to do any high school credits in 8th grade. We can do a couple. I think we are allowed 2 in 8th grade, but I do feel like they're a math and a science one. There's specifics there. So you need to find out what your requirements are for your state. And again, if you don't know where to look, you might want to check into HSLDA. I am not affiliated with anything I'm talking about today. Just wanted to let you know that these places truly have just been helpful to me. So just, even if you just put 1, 2, 3, and 4, just so you know, just say, yep, they'll be going into algebra, or my son is not even got pre-algebra in. He's going to have to do pre-algebra, and maybe the next steps that you hope to accomplish after that. And then what are your requirements? I feel like they're pretty much the same: a world history or geography, US, and then economics and government would be your social studies. But maybe there's another one you want to add in there, something that they're interested in. Maybe you have one that's really into history. Then our science, that, we have a few requirements, biology, and then chemistry or physics. But other than that, it can definitely be an interest led. Foreign language, we have to at least take one unless we do college bound. So I don't know if that's a requirement for you, but think about where you want to put that. I suggest not to overload ninth grade, but not to save everything for your senior year, because they're going to be ready to make some of their own decisions by then, and probably really just being wanting to step out into what they are pursuing or what they're interested in. So there may not be a lot of time for that unless you decide to do it as a dual credit. So I would definitely, you can think about this, and I should talk about this more in the future if you're curious, but you can start halfway through. You can start at 9.5 and do it, and finish in 11.5 if you need 2 years. It doesn't have to be, I do one in ninth grade and one in 10th grade. You can see how their load's going. If you can add the language in, try it. It's just a thought. So, and then electives, maybe write out some interest. Mine would be computer, maybe some, I know we always do logic. Not really sure what else I'll do for this particular child. So I've had some that done photography. I have some that have done programming, computer programming. So it's all going to be different. Now, this is just an example sheet. This is not even the sheet that I'm going to be using, but I did print it off from the Homeschooler, but it was probably many, many years ago. And then again, these are just some pages I probably printed off her website about the different subjects. So I hope this was helpful in just giving you a little look inside where to start, what to start thinking about when you want to homeschool high school, and getting familiar with different things is very helpful. I know that was just my goal, is to understand all the terminology, understand what was going to be expected of the student. And I will tell you, you're going to hear different things from so many people. And it really comes down to you as the homeschool teacher, parent, are going to expect from your child. And you have to sort of, how have you been homeschooling? Has it been an interest-led? Has it been a textbook style? Has it been more of a Charlotte Mason style? And I really just encourage you to look in if they're doing well with the style that you have going already. Maybe it's very eclectic and you have a little bit of everything, but it's going smoothly, just to see how you can carry that into high school. Don't think I've got to drop this all and go college prep. So I just want to give you that thought. Now, there are many that do great in that particular style of curriculum as they enter high school. You've prepped them for that and they're ready. But maybe you haven't been doing that, or your child doesn't know if they want to go to college yet. I do encourage you to, again, sit down with them, get an idea of where they see themselves. Do they even consider college? Maybe try to give them as much to prepare them for that. I think that's important. But also, now is the time before that ninth grade year, trying to catch you maybe in 7th or 8th grade, to start thinking about those things. And I just did a video talking about how high school looked for us in my last 3 boys, and that first one is a guinea pig. So if you're in the first one, you know. But if you have a second or third one, you can see ahead and see what is going to be expected and how it's going to go a little bit. But each one is different. So, all right. If you have any specific questions, please link them below. I would like to possibly do some more high school videos. And obviously, I'm going to be sharing all about my middle schooler who will be entering 8th grade. So, all right. I do hope you all have a wonderful week, and we will talk to you again soon.